G'day, I'm Dan.
And I'm Kristy, and we call Canberra our home.
We work, we parent, contribute to our community, living the Australian suburban dream.
With 4 kids, a dog, 2 businesses, large extended family, friends scattered all over the globe, we struggle at times.
But we do it all by embracing the crazy. And this helps us laugh, smile, cry, and brings meaning to our lives.
So join us and share the journey of our modern Australian family madness and embrace the crazy. Hey guys.
G'day. Today we're talking about building kids' friendships and how parents shape it. We have a big role in this, don't we?
It's huge. You don't realise how much you do from a very young age to build their friendship circle. It's incredible, and this is something that I'm quite passionate about.
Well, you're really good at it. Let's be honest.
I think it's a
strength.
It's a strength of mine.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, one of the first things I said to you was, "This is your zone. You are really, really good at this."
But you're also very good at making connections. Maybe not so much in terms of the kids and parents of our kids' friends.
Yeah, I mean, I think reflecting on this, you start to work out really quickly. And I think as our kids get older, the importance of this and the huge amount of effort that is required to actually help your kids have good friends and be able to connect with those friends and do things outside school and things like that. It's such a big thing, isn't it?
It takes up a lot of time.
Yeah, but it's worth it, right?
It totally is. And if you can build those foundations in the right way, then you're setting your kids up for success, having long-term friendships that potentially could go into adulthood. So and building those networks and connections and showing kids how to make friends and how to be a good friend, I think is a really important thing that they can learn from us in this situation too.
So today we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk a little bit about before school and the connection and alignment with parents, and that helps really set up for success. We're also going to talk about at school and how that changes, and how we can help manage that and help support that process. And as things change, you're able to kind of adapt and manage it.
Yeah.
What else are we going to talk about?
Well, I think we're going to talk about not only younger children but older children and being involved in their friendship, their friendships and how we can support them with their friendships as well. And we're going to talk about how we talk about it and share and learn from each other, and also sharing not just between Dan and myself, but also with our friends, and how that looks for everybody's family, because I know that lots of people struggle with this, particularly when kids go to school.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't underestimate the role that you play in this. Look, it is really substantial, and you don't have to be good at making friends.
No,
it's not like that. That helps without a doubt, but it's more about the effort and the activity around it.
Yeah.
And I see some parents that are just so active in making connections and helping their kids make connections, and they're often families with maybe smaller number of kids because they don't have the
the depth.
yeah and for us, we've got multiple kids, so they kind of play with each other. And I'm not saying we don't put the effort in, but you sometimes take it for granted or don't think about it as much. But I really do see it with those families that are maybe new to the area and actually want to be active. And I think we want to be active too, right? And I think that's really important to us. So I love seeing that, because it kind of always reminds me and reignites that thought of, oh yeah, I've got to keep being active there.
Yeah. And it reminds me very much of mothers, when we first had kids, and I would go to mother's group and you'd be shoved in this room with these women that you're like, I'm not going to be friends with you. You're not the kind of, you're not my kind of person. But then you form friendships and you have all these huge moments in your kids' lives. And so, we still maintain contact with a number of my mother's group friends, and they've, worked into our lives. And our kids, it was interesting. We caught up with a family who is a part of my original mother's group. And I remember our eldest saying to us, we've been, like they said to the child who's the same age, he said, we've been friends our entire lives. and we've known each other. So I think that's a really important thing as well. It's not just the connection, between children because they are choosing to be friends, but also the connection that they have because their parents are friends. Because these kids were lumped in together just like mothers in the mothers group. And I think it was really lovely for our elders to come out and say, wow, I've known him for all his life and he's known me for all his life, and that's really special. And I think it is. I think it's really important to note that. And I think that I'm just going to harp on a little bit here, Dan, because I think that when you first become a parent, you have your friendships. We had our friendships, and then we became parents, and it was a little while before our friends became parents. So we had to start a new friendship group. Not saying that it was we weren't friends with our previous friends, but our friendship needs changed.
Yeah.
And talking about making connections with parents, I've often spoken about this with my friends. It's like you want to date someone, going up to a parent in a park if you don't know them and your kids are playing. I always felt that real trepidation, like, oh my God, is this person going to like me? Is this going to work? And I would actually make a joke out of it. Hey, our kids are playing. Do you want to be friends? Do you want to be best friends? And kids make these instant connections, and it's beautiful to see, but it can be a real uphill battle for adults to do the same thing. And it's really nice to see kids just being, oh, wow, this is great. You're the same age as me, or we're wearing the same color top, so let's be friends. And being able to adapt to that situation as an adult and as a parent, and watching your children get along with other kids that you've never met before, and then having to assimilate your life with this other parent's life. It's a huge challenge. It's a huge challenge. And I struggled with it when I first became a parent, and when we had multiple children and we go to, play groups and things like that, you kind of stand on the edge and think, oh gosh. But it's actually really helpful to take a leaf out of your kids' book and go, actually, if they can do it, so can I. I'm an adult. And if kids can just, pick up something in the sandpit and say, hey, do you like this? And they become best friends. I think it's a good lesson to learn from our children, as well as, we often go the other way where they learn from us. But I think we can learn so much from our children as well.
Yeah, and there's such deeper benefits here, which is your kids will create connections with anyone and everyone, but to be able to take it to the next step of building a strong friendship that continues, it actually requires you to help with that process. And I know we see it, and it'll happen through sport, or it'll happen through swimming, or something after school or during school, where we connect a little bit beyond, and that helps them come together. That helps them get opportunities to play with each other, helps them to do things outside school that then reconnect in. And in addition to that, it also allows you to be able to talk about them and know them, and know those kids, so that you can start to talk to your kids about and ask more deeper questions. So yeah, I see real huge benefits in leaning in and really being part of that process. And yes, it's your kids' role, and yes, they'll build friendships and change friendships and struggle with friendships, and that's part of all of our lives in that process. But I so wanted to talk about this today because I think our role is so integral in helping them foster and build relationships, and they see great examples of it as well. And I know, I just think about your parents and my parents. Some of their best friends are friends that they met through school, that we had similar kids the same age, that we used to cross over lots, and so they were always connected. We always had family times together and things like that, and it built and fostered. And our parents are many years old now, and they've still got those relationships. And not only that, maybe I'm not friends with some of their kids now, but I still know who they are. I'm still interested in them. I still want to hear about them, and it helps you connect back to your family as well. So yeah, it's such a big amount of such an importance, isn't it?
It is, and it's interesting watching our kids now, because we have lots of friends who we get together, and our kids are the same age, and quite often our children's ages don't align, or they don't get along, but I think it helps children to connect with a whole different range of people if they're seeing their parents being able to, well, this is our kids are kind of like, oh, well, we're going to catch up with these people. I may as well just connect with these children because I feel like we're going to spend a lot of time with them, which is great. And they've formed beautiful connections, like cross age groups and, cross interests. And it's really, really important. But I think a really big challenge, Dan, is when your child comes home and says, I want to have a play with XYZ child, and you go, I have no idea who this child is. I have no idea who their parent is. And I think bridging that gap between my child wants to have, be friends with this child or have a play date with this child, building that connection with the parents if you don't know them. And it's really challenging, particularly with small children. You can't go and just go, hey, you go have a play date and that you can dump your child. Well, we don't do that. Other people might, but we don't just leave our children with people that we don't know. We like to get to know the parents so that we can have a relationship with the parents, and it mightn't be a very deep relationship, but knowing that I can call on, Johnny's mum and knowing that, she's going to be a good person for my child to be with. It's really important, and knowing and getting to know these people as best you can, because I think you put a lot of trust in other people when you give your kids the freedom to make their own friendship choices.
And I want to talk about a couple of examples where I see you can get really active, and I know in the past I haven't, but I work at it more now and I'm more aware of it. But parties is such a great example because it's mayhem and it's crazy, and the parents of the person who's hosting, the child that's hosting is running off their feet and doing a million things. But it's so easy to just hang there for a bit and just help out and just be around and just say hello to other parents as you see them come in and just talk to each other. And look, when your kids are young, to what you were just talking about before, you're there. So you stay there and you hang around and you just catch up, and it's really nice. And then when they're older, you start to do it less and less. Mm-hmm. But I think that's such a great, easy opportunity. And it's not about, holding your child's hand the whole time or anything like that, but it's just about seeing them play in environments and seeing them connect with kids and actually spending some time connecting with the kids of the parents. And it's just such an easy way that you can start that process, but it takes like a little bit of your investment and your time and effort. And I know in the past I've always thought, we do this lots, so I don't need to do this, or I can skip this one today. But I really try not to, and I like being there. And you do a lot of this, so it's less me. But I think when you can do it, it really helps. And I think there's so many other things, right? Like other great examples are when you're at school and there's like assemblies and things like that. Your ability to be able to, kind of meet and connect with people, and it is really hard. It's a bit confrontational. We've talked about this before, that really hard. It's like you're being back at school again. But at the end of the day, people are people. So you just kind of, and you want it to work for your kids. So that means we've got to put effort behind it. We've got to try hard. And it might mean you can't crack some groups or some people, but life's life. You keep building. It's kind of like your kids are doing this process and you're doing it as well. And I see a huge value in doing it.
But also, we don't just get the value of our children making friends and having great friends. We've made some wonderful friends, and that we continue to connect with because of our children.
Our best friends now are because of our kids.
It's a beautiful thing, and we don't have to catch up with our children. We don't, we definitely can, but we have formed a deeper connection with some of these parents because our children have started that connection, which is beautiful. I really enjoy seeing that develop.
I agree, but it changes over time, doesn't it?
It really does.
So this is the thing that's really interesting that we're finding, is that as your kids get older, your touch points and your connection and engagement reduces.
Definitely,
and
hugely.
There's still opportunities, but it's really different.
It is very different.
And harder.
Yeah, and I feel like because our eldest has started high school, we're not having as many connections with parents on the playground or at school pickup or in that school environment, but he's very much oh, can I catch up with such and such? I've got his number, and I will say, well, can you ask him his mum, or can you ask his parents' details so that I can get in contact with a parent, and so that they can have their own little discussion about what they want to do. But also, I think it's important for us as parents to check in with the other parents. Hey, the boys are organised, XYZ. Are you okay with that? Oh yeah, that's fine. I was doing this anyway, so they can come along. And it doesn't need to be this huge thing. It's just, as you said, those touch points to connect with parents and have that framework around their friendships so that we can understand what's going on as well.
I mean, it helps that they don't drive yet. So,
yeah.
like, fortunately, at least we're either seeing parents or seeing them at their houses and stuff. So we have that little squeeze or benefit left. But once they get driving, who knows what's going to happen,
it's
honestly.
Going to be out of
but
control.
That's the whole point, right? The foundations have been built there, and we know that it's now their step.
Yeah.
And we'll continue to inject and support, but it just continues to evolve and change.
And it's the different layers of friendships now. It's the school friends and the sports friends and the friend from catching the bus or the friend that they walk home with, or there's a plethora of friends and we're not across all of those friends as much as we used to be. And we can't really insert ourselves into that social situation that easily. So it's that letting go and letting them be that little bit independent when they are getting that bit older, but also knowing that, if anything's happening, you can always come back to us. And he seems to like that at the moment.
The other couple of things that I do is I always ask them, like, who did you play with today? They'll say, oh, I played soccer today. Okay, cool. Who was on your team, or who was on the other team? Who played well, who didn't. I like to do things like that because you start to hear the names and you start to then connect. And I can sometimes with some of the kids' names I'm hopeless, and so the more I start to hear them, I then start to connect. Okay, that kid likes to play soccer, and they like to be doing the lunch group or whatever it might be, and you start to then I guess recognize. And then when you see them at school or you see them outside, you're like, oh yeah, okay, you kind of know. So I think that also helps. And then we also talked about being involved, like whether it's being involved in sport or whatever outside activities, like really getting yourself involved there. And I know that from supporting coaching and stuff like that, you actually really get to know the kids, and you get to know their names, you get to know who they are, you get to know their ups and downs. And that's another great way that you can start to build that further connection with your kids and the connections that they have with their friends as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's a very interesting topic, and I think we're getting better at it, and we're going through different stages as we progress as well. It's managing all those expectations. And the other thing I just wanted to touch on was, we made some really good friends when our eldest started school, and then our second, and then by the time the third came, third started school, I was like, hey, I don't think I can have any more people in my life. And, but subsequent children make your circle wider and wider. But I think it's important, if you've got that core group and you're maintaining those connections that you want to maintain, you do have space. It's like the more children you have, you do have that love, but you do have that capacity to build on your social circle. And I wouldn't say, now that our youngest is at school, I wouldn't say I'm as heavily involved in, the class and the friendship and have as many friends as we did when I first started kindy, but it's still there, and we still have the ability to bring more people into our circle or into our kids' circle, but it is challenging. Like, oh my gosh, how many people do we have to have in our circle? How many people can we manage? And I think that's a really, really good thing to keep aware of as well. If it's getting too big and there's too many things happening, everyone doesn't have to be in the circle. They can be outside, and that's okay. But being aware of where your kids' friendships are and who they're connecting with, I think, is really important.
The last thing I want to say is I always try and talk to the kids about what good friendship is.
Yes.
And this is something we often forget. And, we're really good at telling our kids what they should do and what they shouldn't do and things like that. But we try and talk about, you know, what friendship is, and
Yeah.
when they have their friends over, you know, we try and remind them of actions that help develop good relationships and
Yes.
good friendships where
Yep.
they're seen as a good friend.
Yeah.
And this is often forgotten about, and you know, we just think, oh, they'll get along and they're all good, but they just need those little reminders and those, like, even those like little comfort examples where you can say to them, you did like, you're a really good friend,
Yeah.
or you know, I can see you really cared about them there, or you really helped them, and stuff like that just really helps reinforce like what friendships are,
Yeah.
and where they're doing really good, and you know, where they could actually do more to be a better friend. Yeah, it's a hard one to do, and you know, you kind of look at yourself in the mirror so many times, don't you? You think, oh man, I could do so much better there, or I'm not good at this, and
Yeah.
then I'm trying to talk about this, or you know, guide them on it, and I'm not good at it myself.
But it's also allowing yourself to show them what a good friend is, you know. So if I'm catching up with a friend and they come, oh mum, can we go? No, I'm actually speaking with my friend now and I'm giving her my attention, and you can continue to play, and when I'm finished I'll come and get you. So, and it's also, you know, giving them the opportunity to see you being a good friend is very important as well as explaining it to them. Yeah.
Look, hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight into how we try and work with our kids and helping them build relationships and friendships, and how we build friendships out of that as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, interested in your thoughts as well. If you've got any great ideas or different ways of doing it, let us know. We'd love to hear about those. And yeah, hope you have a great day, and I hope this helped.
See ya.
Have a good one.